How important is product knowledge to be successful selling AeroSeal? Well, to sell it, you don't need to know how to set up the machine, run its software, or maintain it. But you do need to know enough to be able to identify, of course, when AeroSeal is or isn't an appropriate solution, and also what to look out for to ensure the job you sell goes smoothly and meets the customer's expectations. Success in sales mostly comes down to being a good communicator. So you need to know how to translate the AeroSeal techno speak into layman's terms and keep it simple. Features into benefits and solutions. You need to be able to answer common questions about how it works, whether the sealant is safe, how long it lasts, and so on. But keep it simple. Most people will just want to know what time it is, not how to build the watch. Just knowing the basics of how AeroSeal works and how well it works will also make you more confident and professional in the home. So product knowledge matters. And coming up a bit later in this introduction section, we do have lessons on what you as a sales representative need to know about AeroSeal. However, here's a fundamental sales truth. This applies to selling anything, and it really applies to selling AeroSeal. Your product doesn't drive the sale. It's the customer's problems that drive the sale. No one buys a product or repair like AeroSeal for what it is. They buy it for what it will do for them. So while product knowledge is needed, really deep problem knowledge is much more important. So what homeowner problems does AeroSeal solve or prevent? Today we'll learn about the big problem that's at the root of all the other problems. The fact that residential air ducts leak, and usually they leak a lot. Check it out. Ductwork has been used to circulate house air from the heating and cooling equipment to where it's needed and then back to be reconditioned for over 100 years. And for almost all of that time, few in our industry felt it was really that important to actually seal the ducts. That all changed when government and utility researchers started paying much closer attention to duct leakage in the early 1990s. Guess what they found? Did you know that the government's Energy Star program now tells homeowners in typical homes about 20 to 30% of the air that moves through the duct system is lost due to leaks, holes, and poorly installed ducts? 20 to 30%? This quote comes from my favorite third-party proof source, a 2018 Energy Star consumer fact sheet called Duct Sealing. A PDF is in this lesson if you'd like to download it. Is 20 to 30% leakage bad? Well, think about it. If your car's gas tank had a 30% leak in it, how long would you let it leak for? Grab a pen and write that one down. It's actually an excellent analogy to use in the home. And again, that analogy is, if your car's gas tank had a 30% leak in it, how long would you let it leak for? Keep your pen handy throughout this course, as I'll be sharing a lot of little nuggets like that, which you can use to explain duct leakage and AeroSeal to your customers. Other third-party authority statements say that the typical range of duct leakage is even greater. Here's a Trade Magazine article quote from Sam Rashkin, the chief architect of the Building Technologies Office in the U.S. Department of Energy. It's a big deal when the ducts leak. Basic research from DOE uncovered that about 30 to 40% of the air traveling through ducts leaks. Energy Star says 20 to 30%. Department of Energy says 30 to 40%. And some systems are even worse than these averages. I have personally tested many systems with over 50% leakage, and AeroSeal dealers across the country find catastrophically leaky systems all the time. Now, at the other end of the spectrum, it's very rare to find a system that doesn't leak at least 10%. Now, you might be thinking, whew, compared to 30, 40, 50%, 10% sounds pretty good. And here's why you might think that. It's because you are comparing 10% leakage to how awful duct systems usually are, instead of what you should be comparing it to. And what is that, you might ask? Well, imagine you moved into a brand new home. If the plumber left a 10% leak in your hot and cold water supply system, would you be okay with that? Or if 10% of the sewage leaked out gaps in the wastewater pipe every time you flush the toilet? Of course not. You know, when I train technicians who do both plumbing and HVAC, the plumbers seem to get it the fastest. They know the only acceptable level of leakage is 0. In principle, air ducts are really no different than plumbing pipes. As close to 0 as practical should be our goal. And it is that goal we should be comparing a given customer's duct leakage to. AeroSeal routinely seals down to less than 2% leakage, so 10% is actually really bad, about 5 times leakier than it could be. And when the situation warrants it, special application methods can often be used to get all the way down to 0 leakage. Here's another example of why even 10% leakage is bad. Imagine a 3-ton system with only 10% leakage, or 120 CFMs. Were you aware that 10% duct leakage is enough air to fill about 150 Goodyear blimps over the course of a year? Does it make sense to heat and cool 150 Goodyear blimps full of air and then throw it away? So just 10% leakage actually is bad. 15% leakage is therefore worse. Let me tell you a story about one of the most misguided regulations around duct sealing that I've had to deal with. Way back in 2003, the state of California was really struggling with peak load power issues because of deregulation. They also had strong mandates to encourage energy efficiency. So they made what I think on balance was a reasonable requirement that when replacement heating and air equipment was installed, the ducts would have to also get sealed and tested. Many contractors responded with cries of despair. They just wanted to sell metal boxes. Well, it turned out the box sellers didn't really have to worry. The state set the bar really low. And by that, I don't mean a low final level of leakage. All the contractor had to get to was down to 15% leakage. The rationale the state used was most contractors don't have the skill, commitment, or technology, AeroSeal, to do much better. And hey, 15% is a lot better than 30%, right? Don't let their stinking thinking contaminate you. Striving to go from an F grade on the report card to a D isn't anything to be proud of. You can do much better, and most homeowners will want better once they know the facts. As an AeroSeal dealer, you can take their F and turn it into an A or even an A+. To recap some key points today. The Department of Energy says over 95% of older homes have leaky ducts that are worth sealing. Almost every duct system is worth sealing. Typical systems have between 20 and 30% leakage, many have more. And they can almost all be sealed to less than 2%. At this point, you're probably either still a bit skeptical or you're accepting what I'm saying but are wondering, how can ducts leak so much? Where are these big leaks? I'm struggling to understand. How can it be that bad? And if it's so bad, why is our industry only now really getting serious about it? And many of your customers might be baffled as well. On our next lessons, we'll look at my top 10 reasons why ducts leak so much. Understanding how all this came about will serve you well when explaining duct leakage to today's skeptical consumers. It'll also increase your confidence that your AeroSeal is a really important solution. As always, the entire audio track for this lesson is available for you to listen to again as you drive around. Thank you for being an AeroSeal dealer. Look forward to seeing you on our next lesson. Hey, stay curious.